Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 271 of the BoxHard Podcast. This is the 2020 Christmas special edition of the BoxHard Podcast. So first and foremost, Merry Christmas to everyone that's listening. It's going to be a very special show. It's going to perhaps have that festive feeling that we aim to deliver. Obviously, it's going to be myself and Eddie Chambers. We're going to go through the review part of the show. There's going to be, a little bit to review, of course. It was a big week of boxing the weekend just gone. But then we're going to mellow it out. We're gonna go nice and easy into the big interview. Of course, I did say last week it's with British boxing royalty, and that man, of course, is the Dark Destroyer, Mr. Nigel Benn. But before we get into all of that, it is, of course, time to welcome my co-host, the man that, we're like two peas in a pod. We make this show what it is. Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers, how are you, my man? Merry Christmas too.
Merry Christmas to you too, Joe. I'm good, man. How you feeling today?
Absolutely over the moon. I'm really, really pleased. Obviously, the interview with Nigel Benn, I'm really, really looking forward to putting that out. And yeah, man, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to this week's show. Again, for those people that have been sending in on Twitter your pound for pound list, your fighter of the year, your fight of the year, knockout of the year, upset of the year, prospect of the year, all those kind of things. Thank you all for sending those in. If you haven't sent any lists in already, or you're not quite sure what to send in, then DM me on Twitter, or just simply send them in to me on Twitter at BoxHard Podcast. That is going to be for next week, or next week's show. It's going to be kind of the end of year special, if you like, and we're going to go over all the awards that we have, and it's going to be really good. I know that me and Eddie are really looking forward to your pound for pound list. We're going to break them down and analyze your opinions. Everyone that sends something in, it will get read out. You don't have to, send in all these lists if you don't have a fighter of the year. You don't have to do everything. Just send in what you have, and it will be fun. But anyway, let's move on to the review part of the show. That's where we're going to start this week. We're going to start actually at the Allianz Cloud in Milan, Lombardia in Italy. One fight to mention over here, Luca Rigoldi, 22-1 with 2 draws. He stepped in against Britain's very own Gamal Yafai, who's now 18-1. It was for the EBU European Super Bantamweight title, a wide win in the end for Gamal Yafai, who of course travelled out there. And like I say, unanimous decision over 12 rounds. Really pleased for Gamal Yafai. He's had a couple hiccups, of course, in his pro career. He's now 18-1, like I say. And hopefully a big fight comes for him, because that's a big belt. It's a proper belt. It's the proper European title. So I'm pleased for that. Moving out now to the fly-by-night rehearsal studios in Redditch, Worcestershire, United Kingdom. This one, of course, was on Channel 5. Nothing really to mention on the undercard, so let's get straight to the main event. It was for the British light heavyweight title. Shakan Pitters, the undefeated 6'6" reigning champion, 14-0. He stepped in against Craig Richards, friend of the show, 15-1 with a draw, of course. His one loss, if people have forgotten, came to Frank Buglioni in a fight where he was given about 4 days' notice to move up in weight and fight for the British title in Wales. So he did that. He moved up in weight. He had 4 days' notice, or 5 days perhaps. It might have even been 3 days. He jumps in the car, drives over to Wales, and of course, has a fight against Buglioni, who was in tip-top condition. And by the way, Craig Richards actually had a fight himself the week before. So it was literally a week after his fight, and that's where his loss came from anyway. It came from the Buglioni fight, in which he put up a brave effort. He actually went the distance, which was, in some ways a bit of a moral victory. Anyway, enough of that. He stepped in against Shakan Pitters, and I've got to say, I called it. I thought he'd stop him, and he did stop him. It was a tremendous fight, though. Pitters was down in the 4th round, and then he was down from a left hook in the 9th and final round. And I'm going to just run through my analysis of that fight. Round 1, very interesting round. Quite an even one, but I think I'd just edge it to Richards. But, you know, it was a bit of a jab fest. It wasn't too exciting, to be honest. I liked Richards' jab to the body, which he landed a few times. Round 2, another kind of evenish round. Pitters landed some spiteful-looking jabs. Richards landed a good right hand. Pitters fell short a lot with his own jabs, but when he did land a jab, Craig would usually throw 2 jabs back at him, and he'd also target the body of Pitters, but I wasn't sure they were landing clean. I actually gave that round to Pitters just, so I had it 1-1 after the first 2. Round 3, a really good round for Craig Richards. He managed to pin Shakan Pitters on the ropes a couple of times, and he landed some heavy-looking right hands to both the head and the body. In the second half of the round, Pitters did have some success, but a lot of his success, or, well, not really success, but a lot of his punches were taken on the gloves of Richards. Round 4, tremendous round for Craig Richards. He hurt Shakan Pitters with the right hand, and it staggered him, and then Pitters backed up, and the pair traded right hooks, but Richards got there first with his one, and he put Pitters down. I believe that was for the first time in Pitters' career as well. He got back up, and he took some more heavy shots, and he showed an excellent chin, but yeah, I wanted to see Richards throw a few more combinations, because when he got his man hurt and Pitters got back up, he was trying to throw single right hands. He wasn't throwing any combinations. I wasn't sure if he perhaps blown his load a little bit. And, Richards was starting to boss it at that point. Obviously a 10-8 round. Round 5, I actually gave to Pitters. Again, I wasn't sure if Richards had taken a round off or something, but he had his mouth wide open, and I wasn't sure if he was getting a bit tired. Round 6, a much better round for Pitters. Craig was having small moments, but not enough for me. Pitters seemed to have shrugged off any doubts in his mind. The knockdown seemed a long time ago, despite it only being a couple rounds. Richards maybe, like I say, was perhaps tiring. Round 7, I gave that one to Richards. He started really well. He was able to get back on the front foot and push Pitters back for the first time for a couple rounds. He was letting the right hand go again, and every time he threw it, Pitters didn't take it well, and Pitters had some good success right at the final bell, but not enough for me to give him that round. Round 8, a really close round, very much a jab fest again. I actually edged it to Richards though, but I'd have no problem with someone edging it the other way. There's a chance really of a 10-10 round in that one, in round 8, to be honest. And round 9, I mean, what can I say? What a left hand. It pretty much came out of nowhere. It was an evenish round, and then Craig landed a great shot that wobbled Pitters, and Pitters pretty much was held up by the ropes, and then Craig went in for the kill and landed a right uppercut followed by that big left hook, and Shakan Pitters slumped down into the ropes kind of thing. He did amazing to actually get back up before the count had ended, but he was on really shaky legs, and the referee waved it off, and fair enough. Brilliant win. I said it, I'm not sure if I said it on the podcast, but I definitely thought it because I backed it myself, with the bookies. It was just a very good price for Craig Richards to win. I think it was about 3-1 just for him to win. And for the knockout, like I say, it was 7-1. And for the knockout to take place in the second half of the fight, which it of course did, it was 20-1. And I backed that in one of my accumulators, but I'll get onto that, why that accumulator never came in. It was shocking. But anyways, moving on from that card there, like I say, that was in Redditch. Moving out now to the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, USA. Let's start with the undercard. Ali Akhmedov, he was 16-0, an undefeated prospect signed to Triple G Promotions. He was actually knocked out in the final round against Carlos Gongora, who himself was undefeated, 18-0. That one was for the vacant IBO World Super Middleweight title. Big shock there. But, Carlos Gongora was a good amateur, to be completely honest. Hyon Machoy, that's the lady that Matchroom have signed. She managed to get a win. She's 18-0 with a draw. Unanimous decision over 10 2-minute rounds. A defense there of her WBA female super featherweight world title. Her opponent came in overweight though. Seems like that's happening a lot in women's fights recently, unfortunately. John Ryder, he was on last week's show. He was able to beat Mike Guy in the type of fashion that I expected, really. Mike Guy is a very tough guy. It was a 10-round unanimous decision for Ryder. He pretty much pitched a shutout. And yeah, he's now 29-5. It wasn't the statement I think he wanted to make. You know, it was quite frustrating. Obviously, he said that he deserves a bigger fight, and I think his 2021 will be a big one. But yeah, unanimous decision over 10 rounds. And of course, the main event, Gennady Golovkin, now 41-1 with a draw. A win for him against Kamil Szeremeta, who is now 21-1. It's gone down as a retirement after 7 rounds, but it was actually the referee that stopped the fight in between rounds. Szeremeta was down in the first round, the second round, the fourth round, and the 7th round. Yeah, I mean, in the first round, he was down with the final punch of the first round. It was like a looping left hook from Golovkin. And when he was down again late in the second, it was a right hand to the temple of Szeremeta. Triple G, like I said on last week's show, I didn't. I tweeted it. He looked like he was in phenomenal shape at the weigh-in. Perhaps the best shape I've ever seen him in. His jab was incredible in this fight here. He was stepping with the jab. It's so hard and accurate. He landed some disgusting body shots too on Szeremeta, who to his credit somehow took him. And like I say, he was down again in the fourth. It was a left uppercut, and then he was down from a jab finally in the 7th. He pretty much had the fight beaten out of him, and the referee waved it off in between rounds, and he was really looking out for Szeremeta's health. Again, that was a shame because I actually put a bet on for Golovkin to get the knockout within the first 6 rounds, but of course it happened at the end of round 7, so that messed me up on one bet, which was separate from this crazy accumulator that seemed to go really wrong. Moving out now to the Galveston Island Convention Center in Galveston, Texas, USA. Over here, heavyweight Michael Hunter, friend of the show, now 19-1 with a draw. A KO for him in 4 rounds against Sean Lowery, I think his name is. He's now 10-4. He'd never been stopped. I think he was down in the first and then down in that 4th and final round. And in the end, if I'm not mistaken, he kind of just took a knee and stayed down for the rest of the count. He didn't really fancy it. But the main event for that card there, it was also the guy promoting the show, Gilberto Ramirez. He's now 41-0. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's got the longest undefeated streak, or the longest win streak in professional boxing. A TKO in the 10th round against Alfonso Lopez, who's now 32-4. It was for the NABF light heavyweight title. Gilberto Ramirez, man, he needs a big fight as well. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. It's been a weird kind of move since he's moved up to 175. But his opponent, Alfonso Lopez, I mean, he's been around a long time. One of his losses, he only had 3 losses going into that fight. One of them came to Kelly Pavlik, so it goes to show how long he's been around. Wow. Moving out now to the makeshift arena in Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Ilunga Makabu, he defended successfully his WBC Cruiserweight World title with a KO in the 7th round against Olan Rawaju Duradola, who's now 34-8, and Makabu, that's his 30th pro fight. He's now 28-2. The hard-hitting South African marches on. Sorry, not South African, forgive me. The hard-hitting Congolese fighter marches on. Moving out now to the Universum Gym in Hamburg, Germany. It was a successful comeback for former world champion Felix Sturm. 4 years out the ring, he was back. A unanimous decision by shutout over 10 rounds against the previously undefeated 10-0 with 2 draws, Timo Rost. And Felix Sturm now 41-5 with 3 draws. There was a fight that took place in Spain. I think we should go there now. Sergio Martinez with the win, a 9th round TKO against Jussi Cavoila, who I think Conor Benn knocked out in about 2 rounds last year. So yeah, Sergio Martinez now 53-3 with 2 draws. Cavoila 24-8 with a draw. Sergio Garcia on the undercard as well. I think it was supposed to be a defence of his EBU European title, but seems like he didn't defend that in the end. Maybe it was a late replacement. He's now 33-0. He got a win in the 6th round against Gregory Trenel by TKO there. Trenel now 12-6 with 2 draws. And yeah, I've been flying through that as quick as possible. Let's move now to the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut. Over here, this is a card that you saw more of than me, Eddie, so I'm going to come to you in just a minute, but I'm going to start with the main event. Emmanuel Rodriguez, It was for the interim WBC World Bantamweight title. He was supposed to be taking on Nonito Donaire. COVID defeated Donaire, so he couldn't fight. In stepped the late replacement Filipino Raymart Gaballo, 23-0, I think about 20 KOs, quite heavy-handed. Don't think he had a deep amateur career. Don't think he'd really boxed anyone too great as a pro. And this is where my accumulator completely went wrong, because I think it was £5 on Gamal Yafai to win, which of course he did on Thursday night. The other one was a win for Emmanuel Rodriguez. The other one was for Canelo to beat Callum Smith on points, which of course happened. And that other one, the fourth one, Craig Richards to win. So Craig Richards won, Gamal Yafai won. Canelo was able to beat Callum Smith on points by decision. Emmanuel Rodriguez needed to beat Raymart Gaballo, a late replacement, and that would have paid me out £128. So I was thinking, oh man, I'm watching the Rodriguez fight. He wins pretty much every round. The commentators on Showtime gave him every single round. They didn't even give Gaballo one single round out of the 12 rounds. And unbelievably, it ends in a split decision. So I'm thinking, what? And then they say one judge for Rodriguez, one judge for Gaballo, and the third judge for Caballo. So they totally robbed Emmanuel Rodriguez. And then, of course, they robbed me. But I can only feel for Rodriguez. He hasn't had it easy. He's had a lot of big fights, and he should be right now the interim WBC Bantamweight World Champion. There needs to be a rematch. He needs to perhaps petition against that or do something. I mean, it needs to be reviewed. It was shocking. But anyway, moving on to the undercard, this is where I'm going to come to you, Eddie. What did we have? Jaron Ennis. He was looking to move to 27-0. It ended very quickly, though. It was for the vacant IBO World Welterweight title. A no contest after Chris Van Heerden and Jaron Ennis clashed heads. I was looking forward to the fight in some ways because Heerden had only been stopped the one time and it was late on in a fight to Errol Spence. So if Ennis could take him out early, it would have been very exciting, but we didn't get to see enough of it. And I saw a little clip of basically Heerden kind of looking at the floor, I guess, and just a pool of blood on the floor. It was disgusting from what I could see on that angle. Tell me more.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. You could see immediately when it happened, like the guy never picked his head back up. Like it was. You knew it was bad, but at first, you didn't see any blood. Like I didn't see any blood or anything right away. I was just looking, and I wanted to see whether or not Boots' face had any damage, and I really didn't see much. If there was, I mean, I think he had a little knot, but it wasn't really any cut or anything major. So I was thinking, they might have got lucky. Flashback to him and looked at him, and he was still leaning over. And then you start thinking, this is brief. This is a few seconds, back and forth. And you start to think maybe he's trying to put on a little bit, but then you see the blood, and then you see the gash. Like you can see down to the white meat. That's what we say over here. But you can clearly see that thing was bad, and immediately they cut it off. The fight was over. It was like, nah. But as for how the fight was working out, it was looking like he was going to stop him within the next round or so. Because the amount of volume with the speed and the skill that he was showing, and just the ability to land shots pretty constant on this guy. It was just too much. You could see, and he hurt him a couple of times already, and the fight was definitely he was going to get stopped. He was going to get stopped within a round or two. And I believe that I'm 100% confident that it's so unfortunate. And, it goes to a no contest, but it's kind of bad for, obviously the guy with the cut, suffered, but it's got to be bad for Boots because, this is another way for him to prove this is the guy. He was in there with Errol Spence and he went long rounds with him and he wanted to prove that he was, in that same category and he was going to beat him worse. but he didn't get the opportunity because the cut happened, and then it just shuts everything down. You know what I mean? And it's so unfortunate for both guys, but I think it's more unfortunate for Boots than it is for the other guy, because the other guy got saved in a sense that he wasn't going to get his butt whipped for another few rounds, didn't get carried out. You know what I'm saying? So it's good for him in that way. But for Jaron Ennis, it was rough. It's rough because, all that momentum, all that training, all that work done. I mean, for both guys, but all that work done to get there, and you're expecting to go in there and be able to perform and win, and all of a sudden something like that happens. It just throws everything off.
And I believe it was the fight right before that where another head clash came into play. Gary Antonio Russell, 17-0 with 12 KOs. He was in there against Juan Carlos Payano. I actually said to Al Bernstein on Twitter during the week, I said that, it's my favourite under the radar fight of the week because again, it was a weekend packed with big fights, especially in the UK. There was a lot going on. So no one was really talking about that fight, but it was a great stylistic match. Payano was, last time out, very, very impressive against Daniel Roman, and it ends in a technical decision over 7 rounds. It went to the cards. There was a head clash in round 5, I believe it was, and it was stopped in the 7th, and Gary Antonio Russell was ahead on the card, so he picks up the win, and that's a really good win. I just would have liked to have seen it go the full 10. Did you happen to see any of that one?
No.
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
I would have. I because by the time I got to, because I was going to my guy Ant's house. I was going to Ant's to watch it, and by the time I got there, because we were doing some Christmas things or whatever before I left, and then it was just unfortunate. By the time I got there, that fight was over. It was lucky enough I got there at the time that Jaron Ennis was going on, because I would have missed that one too.
Okay. All right, well, yeah, and also on that card we had the undefeated prospect Brandon Lee. He's now 21-0 with 19 KOs, a TKO in the 3rd round against Dakota Linga, who's now 12-5 with 2 draws. Moving out now, though, to the final card to mention. It took place, of course, at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, USA. I'm going to start with the undercard. Just one fight to mention, the Cuban heavyweight Frank Sanchez, a guy that looks... he says he's 28. He looks about 48, maybe. Anyway, he got in there. He got in there with Julian Fernandez. He stopped him in the 7th round. A good win there for Frank Sanchez. I think he's closing in on the top 10 in the world now in someone's rankings. But the main event, let's go there. It was for the WBA Super World Super Middleweight title and the vacant WBC Super Middleweight World title, and of course the Ring Magazine belt. Saul Canelo Alvarez, the A side of the fight, of course, despite being the challenger. He's now 54-1 with 2 draws, a unanimous decision win over 12 rounds against Callum Smith, who's now 27-1. I'm going to go through the fight as quick as I can here, then I'm going to come to you, Eddie, because I'm excited to hear what you have to say with your analysis. The first round, I thought that Smith started quite well. The last thing I wanted to see was him freezing on the big stage. I didn't want to see him waiting too long for Canelo. He didn't. He landed a variety of shots to both the head and the body. I liked it. I gave him the first round. Canelo just was having a look at that stage, though. It was pretty eventless, in all honesty, in the first. Second round, Canelo round for me. Landed some nice power jabs. Still wasn't able to really put a dent in Smith at that point. It was very early days. Canelo kept trying to land his long left hook around the guard of Smith. Smith took it on the gloves every time in the second round, though. Round 3, a great round for Canelo. He was putting the pressure on Smith. He was managing to close the gap. Smith kept voluntarily going back to the ropes. I didn't like him there. When Smith unloaded, he looked good. Canelo, for me, though, won that round. He upped the pace as well a little bit. Round 4, I didn't think there was much in it, but Canelo, for me, won that round. I liked his early work. I liked Callum's response in the middle part of the round. It was a close one, but for me, a Canelo round. Round 5, a really bright start to the round for Callum, but as the round went on, Canelo responded nicely. He started to land some good shots himself, and again, for me, stole the round. Callum's right eye has as well was starting to mark up too at that point. Canelo's head movement was on another level. So he won that one for me. Round 6, another Canelo round. He was starting to get some serious momentum. Callum seemed like he was perhaps running out of ideas already. Going into the second half of the fight, at round 7, I actually gave that one to Smith. It was a close one, but I felt like a sense of urgency slightly kicked in for Callum Smith. He knew he wasn't going to get a win on the cards. He needed to step it up if he had any chance of getting the knockout, and that's what I think gave him that kick up the backside a bit. Round 8, really close round, best round of the fight at that point for me. I just edged it to Callum. He was way more active than in recent rounds. Canelo did land a fantastic uppercut though, but Callum took it well. I think it might have been a slight sympathy round maybe. Round 9, Canelo was going to work on Smith. He blooded the nose of Smith. Smith was trying his best really to fight fire with fire. He was getting tagged way too often. He looked hurt a couple times. In the corner as well at the end of that 9th round, Joe Gallagher said, "I'll give you one more round." He said it in his ear. He kind of whispered it in his ear, but you could hear it on the microphone in the corner. And Callum said, "No, Joe, I'm fine." So they sent him out for round 10. Callum was getting bullied and beaten to the punch. He was trying his best, but only really fighting in spurts. He was trying to almost run away from Canelo at times, and it was becoming a little bit hard to watch. Callum's... his heart obviously couldn't be questioned. He showed tremendous heart, but the fight was lost for me at that point. A few rounds before that, round 11, another Canelo round, more of the same really. He started to punish Callum Smith, and round 12, Canelo again, more of the same really. Smith as well kept looking up at the clock several times, just like he wanted to survive. He was very brave. Canelo, of course, was on another level, which we all sort of knew. Callum is still one of the best, though, for me at 168. No one knows where Canelo is going to be at weight-wise, so the division is still very exciting if he decides to move up to light heavyweight again, if he decides to go back down to middle, I don't know. But Callum didn't have loads of time to prepare for that. It doesn't matter. I think if he had 4 years to prepare, he probably still wouldn't have been able to do too much more than the 4 weeks he had to prepare. But, it was what it was. Great win for Canelo. Canelo, he just looks so solid. He's such a fluent boxer. His defense is unbelievable. His head movement is just crazy. He's like a machine. He's so strong. He's like a tank. But anyway, that's my analysis of that one, Eddie. It's the final fight, obviously. What was your take from Smith's efforts and, of course, Canelo's dominant performance?
I take my hat off to Smith. I thought Callum did a good job in doing what he could, and he was actually trying to be competitive early on. He was really trying. He was really trying to stay focused on the game plan. He was still trying. He was trying to reach in with the jab. He was trying to get behind it and maybe throw some combinations of it. And another thing that he was really trying to do when he was getting approached with heavy shots from Canelo, he would try to rapidly fire back, not ridiculously too fast, like trying to just get even, but to try to keep pace with his pace. You know what I mean? And actually sometimes up it because of the chances of him I guess outboxing Canelo would be kind of slim, even though he's a tall, rangy guy. Canelo's really slick. Callum has never been accused of being super fast, so it would be difficult for him to reach. I mean, the thing that I noticed about Canelo is that, he goes up into these weight classes, like when you're looking at 175, you're looking at now 168, and, most people will be like, that's kind of dangerously high for a guy of Canelo's size to be going up there. But when you look at his strengths and what he does as a fighter with his head movement and how difficult it is to land on him, it really doesn't really, like, for me as a person, if I was a supporter of him going up in weight wouldn't really bother me much, because it's going to be very difficult for guys, even though they're taller, to put their hands on him consistently. You understand what I'm saying? But that's the thing that I want to give Callum credit for, is that he was able at times to get his hands on him. Even though it's difficult to land consistently, he still was able to put his hands on him, and his timing was pretty good early on. It's just that consistent beat down as the fight wore on Canelo to the body, and the jab was really, really sharp coming from Canelo. And it was one of the things that Callum Smith said in the interview after. He was really surprised how good his jab was. But everything else he was pretty sure that he was going to be like anyway. He just thought that his style and his ability would have been able to match up well with it. But Canelo Canelo proved he's a pound for pound great right now. You know what I mean? He really showed the class that he's in. You know, and I still, regardless of how the fight ended up and whether Callum was getting beat or, you know, and just the way he performed toward the end of the fight, I still think he's going to be live in there with anyone else, like at that weight or even maybe 175, maybe a little bit higher. He's really a quality fighter, big rangy guy, can punch, can box. You know what I mean? He's definitely quality and definitely class.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really wraps up the review part of the show. Just before we really and truly, there's not too much to go over now. Just a couple pieces of news that I'm going to bring in. On February the 13th, which is a Saturday, it's going to be at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, USA. 2 fights have been announced. It's going to be on DAZN. This one's for the IBF super featherweight world title. Joseph Jojo Diaz, 31-1. He takes on Shavkatzon Rakimov, who's 15-0. And also on that card, Patrick Teixeira, 31-1. He defends his WBO world super welterweight title against Brian Castagno, who of course, was able to become a world champion in 2018. He had that close fight with Erislandy Lara, and I'm not sure what happened. He lost the belt without actually losing it in the ring, and he's been out for quite a while. So I'm not sure what's gone on with him, but he's back. It's good to see him back. In other news, on January the 30th, for the IBF super middleweight world title, it's Caleb versus Caleb. We've got, of course, Caleb Plant defending the world title against former holder of the exact same belt, Caleb Truax. All the best to both the Calebs there. I tell you who's going to win. Caleb is going to win that fight there. I'm sure of that. Best of luck to both men. Caleb Truax is a great guy, and Caleb Plant, you can't help but feel for him. Obviously, his situation outside of the ring, losing his daughter and stuff like that, is just horrific. The worst thing in the world. So I'm, automatically drawn to him. And in other news, we finally get to see it. It's on for about the 3rd or 4th time. Josh Kelly will challenge David Avanesian for the EBU European welterweight title. That's going to be Saturday, January the 30th. No venue just yet. It's going to get confirmed soon. It's going to be on Sky Sports in the UK and DAZN in the US. In other news, we get to see the Juan Francisco Estrada versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez rematch. That's going to be taking place on March the 13th. It's going to be for the it's a unification fight, of course, for the WBC, WBA and Ring Magazine super flyweight world titles. That's Saturday, March the 13th on DAZN. And I think that's about it for the news, I believe. So yeah, that's it for the news. We did the review part. I'm going to let you off the quiz question, Eddie, because it's Christmas and I don't want to give you an L right on the week of Christmas. So I'm sure you'll be, pleased with that. But yeah, that's it. Like I say, we've done the reviewing. Nothing to preview, of course. We've done the news just there. No quiz question for Eddie. It's Christmas. It's time to be nice. It's a time to be giving, not taking. And I don't want him taking any L's. So that's it. And, of course, I'm going to come in very shortly with the huge interview with Nigel Benn, which is just, honestly, it's brilliant. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, next week, remember to send in your lists, your pound-for-pound lists, your Fighter of the Year, all your nominations for all these other awards that we do. And we're going to do those on next week's show. And, of course, there's going to be nothing to review next week because there's nothing to preview this week. But there will be some stuff to preview next week because that'll be leading into the new year. And, of course, there's the Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia showdown, which we're all thoroughly looking forward to. But anyway, before we bring in our sole guest, the legend that is the Dark Destroyer, Nigel Benn, it's time to say goodbye to a legend on this show. Eddie, it's not the final show of the year. I'm sure we'll be here again this time next week. But so far, you've been a tremendous help this year. And the podcast, honestly, wouldn't have been the same without you. I'll be saying this again next week, I'm sure. But thanks for all the help. Thanks once again for joining me on this week's show. And above all else, I wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, I wouldn't be the same if I wasn't able to be on the show, too. So it's one hand washes the other, man. I'm enjoying it, and it gives me an opportunity to still talk and you know how much I like to do that. So this is a great thing for me, and I'm really enjoying it, and also having you as a real close friend, man. I really appreciate it all.
I appreciate you too, my friend. Thank you, Eddie. Right, that is it. That's enough of us. It's now time for the man, the myth, the legend, the very much legend. It is, of course, Mr. Nigel Benn. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a man who really is one of the most legendary fighters in British boxing history, the former WBO and WBC super middleweight world champion. It is, of course, Mr. Nigel Benn. Nigel, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm fine, buddy. How are you?
Very well, very well. Over the moon to be speaking with you. And I don't normally get nervous before interviews, but I'm a bit nervous, man. I'm speaking to royalty in British boxing here.
I'm just a street boy, Joey. That's all I am, buddy. I'm just a street boy that's done good. That's all I am, mate. No royalty or nothing, mate. Would never use that title at all, mate. I'm just like you until I step in the ring.
So Nigel, let me start with this. First things first, my typical kind of opening question in these types of interviews. Where did the journey all begin for you? What's your earliest memory? When did you first put on a pair of gloves in boxing?
Gascoigne Estate. I had a boxing club in Barking in Essex, and I started there. I was about 12. And I got dropped about 6 times by my brother. And then I stopped boxing, and then I started doing martial arts. Martial arts is what I really loved. Back in the 70s, back in 76, I loved martial arts. So I really just stuck with martial arts until I joined the army when I was 17.
Wow. Okay.
So martial arts was my thing, what I really loved.
Okay. And obviously when you say you went to the army, after that you embark on an amateur career. 42 fights you had as an amateur, 41-1 was your record. The one loss to Rod Douglas, which of course you went on to avenge. Yeah. What was your highlight moment of the amateur game, Nigel?
I would say winning the ABAs, really. Yeah. Winning the ABAs, I think it was the highlight. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't really business with it. The amateurs, it wasn't really my thing. There was a lot of political correctness going on back in there. You either face fits or it doesn't, and I ain't really got time for that. That's what it was like. Yeah. You had people like the Rod Douglas. You had the John Lyons and all that. Kevin Hickey had his set people who he wanted in the team and all that. So I wasn't really an amateur man. I just had to go through a season of being an amateur to turn pro, really. Yeah. Amateurs weren't really me. Yeah. Didn't really enjoy it at all, to tell you the truth, being honest with you. No, it wasn't me because I was just rough and ready. I think, you know what it was? It was, Joe, I think it was like, coming from the army, I had a lot of rules and regulations, which I abide by, and I wasn't going to come out and have all these idiots telling me what to do. I was really sick of it. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm following rules and all that. It's just like, they had their favoritism, so like I wasn't really interested in the amateurs, really. I was really just wanting to just go out there and earn some money, tell you the truth. Yeah. I think that's what it really was. It wasn't like, going home having about 100 plastic trophies all in there, and I thought, they don't pay the rent, mate. They didn't pay the rent. It's not having all these trophies. It just wasn't me. My dad, it's so funny, God rest his soul, my dad winning. I remember when I won the ABA title. My ABA title was like in like my dad's garage. I wasn't really interested, but then I pulled it out. Now that I've retired, I think, oh mate, look, it's my ABA title. It's all rusty and all that, but I'm going to shine it in. I don't know, I might put it on eBay and sell it just for somebody, not for me. I just give the money to charity. It's just like, someone's got a bit of memorabilia of me. That's it, my ABA title. But it's not for, things like that don't really bother me whatsoever. Wow. I am what I am. Things like, even my world title belts, I sold them for charity. Doesn't bother me. Why is that? Because I know who I am. I don't need a piece of metal or whatever to say. If I can go and donate my memorabilia for charity to help people that who need wheelchairs or who are going through crisis in life, and if that means me selling my trophies, so be it. At least I've done good with it.
No, that's very...
Because I still know who I am. I know people, like when I told me, I've got 150,000 for my 120,000, I think, for my WBC, and about 60,000 for the Caldwell calls, you know, raising a lot of money for charity, and that was it really.
Oh, good on
but
you.
it don't, you know, people say, how could you do that? How could you sell these things? You know, someone wanted them, so they sold them, then the money went to charity.
Oh, that's classy, man. That's charitable. But let's get on to your pro career, Nigel. You turned pro on January 28th, 1987 at Fairfield Halls in Croydon.
Yeah, mate.
I'm a Croydon boy.
Against Graham Ahmed.
Graham Ahmed, that's it. I'm a Croydon boy, so it was right on my doorstep.
How are you? Well, I was in Beckenham.
Okay.
Just down the road from you.
Yeah, that's literally that's where my girlfriend lives.
Yeah.
So
the next stop.
There we go. So you become the quickest man to ever stop him. What do you recall of your debut? Do you remember being nervous at all before walking out?
Yeah, cool. I was nervous for every fight, Joey. Every single fight I was nervous, mate. It's not a fight that I went in there that I wasn't nervous. When I didn't win in there and wasn't nervous, I got beat. And that was the first one when I fought Michael Watson. I was nervous.
Yeah. And, you know, you were very active, obviously, in your first year. You know, you had 12 fights in the first calendar year, winning...
And, oh, no, can you believe that?
It doesn't happen these days, does it?
No, it doesn't. Oh, my, I'll be going crazy. We're having one fight every 6 months or so. Oh, my gosh. I'll be pulling out my hair.
But, yeah, you won all 12 by KO. If we skip forward to April 20th, 1998, you know, by this point, you're 16-0 with 16 KOs. You box at the Alexandra Pavilion for the Commonwealth middleweight title against Abdul Sander. Abdullah
Mora Sander, that's it, Abdullah Mora Sander, yeah.
I mean,
I think the second round I stopped him.
Yeah, you become the first man to stop him in 2 rounds. Do you recall much of that night?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course I did, mate.
First major title there. First major title.
Yeah, but, you know, it was... I didn't know I stopped him. I was the first person to stop him. Yeah, you know, I was wild and I was fast and I was angry, mate, and I know I just had some power. I think that was that middleweight, yeah. I just knew I just had the power, you know, and I saw him wobble so many times. I was just hitting him. It was just like I just had a burst of energy in me. I had so much energy, you know, and I know how to punch. Yeah. And I when I saw him wobble a couple of times, I knew it wasn't going nowhere. I was hitting him hard. I know he's been 12 rounds, the Tony Simpson and all that, you know, but I just knew he wasn't ready for me. He was not ready for me.
Yeah. And like I say, yeah, you were the first person to stop him. And after that, you know, he lost every fight after that by KO, but you set the trend.
I didn't know that, man. I did not know that.
There you go. But after that fight, you know, you pick up another 5 wins on the trot, all by stoppage, including defending your Commonwealth title 3 times. During one of those defences, by the way, was when you had that crazy fight against Anthony Logan. Oh, man. Give us a couple words on that. That was crazy.
You know what it was, Joe? It was like, I think you got to watch the fight. Everyone think, oh, look, you know, that was a lucky punch. No, look at the punch. Watch the fight, right? Watch me spin around, because what happened, he's actually hit me 22 times before I knocked him out. 22 times. If you can't knock me out with 22 punches, you're in trouble, mate, regardless. And what happened, if you got to watch it, Joe, I threw a right hand, but I'm spinning around, but I'm still looking at him. Now, he's charging at me because he thinks I'm all over the place. And as you watch, I whip my legs, I whip my body around, I twist from my hips really quick. And my left hand, because I've gone the full distance with my right hand, and all I can do now is whip a quick left hook round. Watch it. Watch the fight, and you'll see I'm like bobbing around, and then I'll whip it, because what he's done, he's forgot about his guard. He's coming at me thinking, yeah, he's got me, but my hand is traveling at supersonic speed. My hand is traveling so fast, and he can see this big red glove coming towards his face, but it's like, oh my gosh, I can't stop it. It's so funny because I know what was coming. You got Joe. you got to watch the fight, and then when you see that shot, then you think, oh, now I see. It wasn't a lucky punch. Look how I threw the right hand, and I bobbed around, done 2 steps, and I whipped my left hook, or the long left hook right round. And it was, by the time, it was like he tried to put his hands out, and he thought, oh, no, I'm not going to make it. Yeah, but I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make it, though. It was so funny. And even when he put me down, it was like, I was saying to everybody when Amber Mendy picked me up, I was going to everybody, what are you worrying for? What are you worrying for? I remember that fight like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I remember that fight like it was yesterday.
That was crazy. I did
actually.
So
I got a bit excited, but that's how I felt about that fight.
I love your excitement. I did watch it. I was thinking when I was watching it, I'm seeing him throw these shots. I'm thinking, what's going on here? Then all of a sudden, good night. That was it.
Yeah. Well, no, but you got to see that it wasn't a lucky shot.
No, it wasn't a lucky shot. No way.
Watch it. Watch how I bob around, and then I whip my hips. I turn my hips so quick, and the punch was coming at speed to him because I threw in the right hand, missed him with the right hand, and he thought, oh, I'm off balance, and then I just whipped this left hook, man, so fast, and he just caught it.
And it definitely did.
I remember that.
Definitely did catch him.
Yeah.
And like I say, after winning the Commonwealth title, you pick up those 5 wins. You get to 22-0 with 22 KOs. That's when we arrive at May 21st of 1989. You attempt to defend the belt against Michael Watson. You mentioned in Finsbury Park. This occasion wouldn't be your night, though. You stopped him round 6, losing for the first time.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you remember of that Sunday evening back in 1989, Nigel.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Joe. That was another clear fight in my head. Anyway, that was. I thought to myself, I've had 22 fights, 22 wins, 22 KOs. What can this man do to me? And being honest with you, nothing that he threw at me hurt me. I just burnt myself out. Michael knew how to go through gears. Michael just knew, after a couple of rounds, they're burning himself out. They all knew what was going to happen. I just, he was hitting me, but I didn't actually feel a thing. Not a thing whatsoever. It was like when I got back to my corner, it was so funny, Joe. And my trainer was shouting at me, and he's going, go out there and steam him. Oh, so I look in the boxing pamphlets, steam him. Oh, I can't find that in here, mate. What are you talking about, steaming? I thought, what do you think I've been doing for the last 5 rounds? I threw everything at him except the kitchen sink. And, and Michael just knew what to do, just block the shots. And I was just he just threw a jab at me. That put me down. I was absolutely exhausted because when I got in the ring, I was like on a half a tank as it is already. And by the time round 5 was over, mate, I was on empty. My light was flashing. I had no strength left because everything I just threw literally everything at him.
Yeah.
Everything.
And after that loss, that's where you decide to travel across the Atlantic. You experience fighting in the United States. How did that come about? Because obviously, looking back now, it was a brilliant, clever move at the time.
Well, you know what it is, Joe. I just want to see how good. Am I really good, or am I just hype? Do you understand? And and plus, like it was, it was. I had to make a change because I wanted to see if I was good or was I just BS. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be one of them. You know what I mean? So I went away, cried my eyes out for a long time after the Michael Watson fight. I got to find out if I am good. Can I? Because I was struggling to do 6 rounds. So I thought to myself, how can I do 10 rounds? How can I do 12 rounds? So I thought to myself, I don't want to go to America. I done my first 10 rounds against Jorge Amparo, and man, this guy was like a ball, man. And and I knew for a fact this had been a 10, and I was hitting this guy with some hard shots, and they were just bouncing off his head. I thought, oh my gosh, this is a 10-rounder. But when I'd done a 10-rounder, then I knew I could do 10 rounds. Once I went to America and I started learning my trade. Well, I can't even say I learned my trade really. Just want to know that I could do 10 rounds really. And once I'd done that, Joe, I was just relaxed. I could do 10. And once I could do 10, I could do 12.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just think that was a brilliant move at the time, obviously, to go out there. You saw out the end of that year, 1989, with 2 wins. You mentioned against Amparo.
Well, do you know what? Sorry to cut you off, Joe. But that is exactly the same thing what Connor's done. Mm-hmm. Connor had to leave his family to move away, and that's exactly what I done. I had to move and leave my family to go and secure what I had to do, and that's what Conor's doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned those 2 wins, like we say, against Amparo and Quinones.
Yeah. He's the one that sparked Errol Christie.
Yeah, that's right. And we get into 1990, a year obviously that was really a huge year in your career. The year already kind of starts out a little bit rocky, if we're being fair. A split decision over 10 in Atlantic City against Sanderlin Williams. Tell us about that.
Sanderlin Williams. Yeah, do you know what it was? It was one of kind of not my kind of fight. You know, sometimes you get these kind of men that don't really want to fight. They're like, you know, getting a split decision. And these are good fighters. You're not rubbish fighters. They're good fighters. You know, they're much higher than British level. You know, and got a split decision. I'll take that. I'll take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then afterwards it proves, like, you know, I can go in and better myself, which I done.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, get the split decision. And, you know, sometimes you ain't going to always get the fights that you want. The Barkleys, the Doug DeWitt, my type of fighters. You know, sometimes you're going to get people that are going to be a bit slippery. Mm-hmm. You know,
and he was slippery. You know, he was a bit of a spoiler. Obviously, I mean, he had close fights with just about everyone. He had a close one with Harold Graham a few years before. He lost a split decision to Iran Barkley. He had a close fight with Frank Tate. You know, even
he fought all of them people as well.
Yeah, and these were all close ones. Wow. And he drew with James Toney 6 months after you. So yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't do too bad then.
No, exactly. Yeah, he was a tough guy, no matter who he got in with.
Yeah.
And here's a fun fact as well for the listeners. Williams once fought a fighter by the name of Ron Essett. And that one actually ended.
Ron Essett?
Yeah, Ron Essett. The fight ends in a draw after 12 rounds, but both fighters decide to go back out there unpaid for a 13th round, and Williams actually lost the fight after that. He lost by 13th round split decision.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
That's what I mean. It actually was a draw. They announced it as a draw. Everyone was angry. They decided to do a 13th round, and he lost because of it. So there we go. Bit of trivia.
Wow.
Getting back onto your career, Nigel. If they'd have given Williams the decision that night, would that have scuppered your world title shot in your very next fight? Surely it would have.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, these are hypothetical things. So you know, you can say about mostly all my fights. If I had a draw with Jorge Amparo, you know, so it's hard to really say because. You've got to look and say, well, you know, the right decision was given. The right decision was given. And, you know, because I went on there and proved myself, because straight after that, then it was Doug DeWitt.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it wasn't like, you know, well, yeah, because sometimes you can be in, like you said, I never knew he fought all these people, but, you know, he had, like, all close decisions with James Toney, you know, the draw wasn't wow. So, you know, so at the end of the day, maybe it was just like, you know, he wasn't that kind of exciting fighter. Maybe people just thought, you know what, this English guy, let's see where he can go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think I proved myself in America. I really did. I never lost to a Yank.
You definitely did prove yourself, mate. And, you know, we mentioned it there. 1990, April 29th in Atlantic City, you challenged the then WBO middleweight world champion, Doug DeWitt. You cut him in the first round. You were down yourself in the second, trading left hooks.
Yeah.
You get back up.
Yes. You know what it was, Joey? We both actually threw left hook bang on the target. Because he was moving away, but I was moving in. And he actually hit me right on the money. But the difference is, I didn't feel nothing. It was that much. It was too much of a beautiful, beautiful punch. Now, if he hit me up in the temple, you know, you get all dizzy. And you know, you lose your equilibrium. But I was all right. He hit me perfect on the chin. I just went down. And I looked at the referee. I remember him looking, and I looked at him and said, yeah, I'm okay. I didn't feel a thing. It was just that it was bang on the money. It was spot on. But it was too perfect, if you understand what I mean. It wasn't one of them punches that you get hit and you're all fuzzy in the head. I didn't actually feel a thing. And I went down and my legs just went. And I went down and I thought, yeah, and I looked at the referee and I remember looking and said, yeah, I'm okay. And I got up.
Yeah.
And in the second round, I bashed the granny out of him.
Yeah, the third, you put him down in the third, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, then he gets up and then you put him down 3 times in the 8th and the referee waves it off. Yeah. Tell us about, you talked about the fight a little bit there, but also what it kind of felt like to achieve what I'm sure would have been your childhood dream, even though the WBO at the time was a fairly new sanctioning body.
Well, you know what it was? It wasn't even... it was hard to really explain. It was like, I don't know, it was just... Because we've got to go back to my beginning of my career, Joey, to really understand. I remember I was saying to myself, I think I could be Southern Area champion. You know what I mean? Yeah, Southern Area champion. All I want is a 3-bedroom terrace house like my dad. That was it. And my dad had a Cortina Mark 1. I said I'll have a BMW, just a bit better than my dad. That was all I wanted. I didn't want nothing much. Do you understand? So then all of a sudden, I become Commonwealth champion, and now I'm WBO champion. So a lot of it didn't really sink in because it was like I just couldn't I couldn't wrap my head around it. Do you understand? I could not wrap my head around this. Yeah. It was just like, wow. But nobody recognised. You've got to understand the British Boxing Board of Control never recognised the WBO. Never. They never recognised the WBO. And now look where the WBO is in England. I was the first one to bring it over, but nobody recognised it. But yeah, now they want their C's, the belt that they didn't recognise. And that's when I tore up my licence. And I think when I fought Iron Barkley, because you don't recognise it, but you still want me to pay the money. So I ripped up my licence and I started fighting under my American licence. But so anyway, getting back, sorry, just jumped off the track a bit. Right. But yeah, winning the WBO, it was just like I was just over the moon. I really was. It was just hard to just kind of settle down and think, I'm world champion. Wow, world champion. It was just a great feeling. Great feeling that I think I got it when I was 26. So I was just so excited. And after beating Doug DeWitt, I remember Doug DeWitt saying to me, "Who's he for? I've been in with the best. I've been in with them all. They couldn't hurt me. What can he do to me?" That's what he said. And he said to me at the press conference, and we had the press conference, we had a face-off. He said, "You're going down." I said, "Yeah, I might be going down. You're going down, and you're going to stay down." I remember saying that to him so clearly. I remember that. And I remember everyone saying, that he takes a good shot. But I mean, I had 8-ounce gloves. What the heck? You're giving me 8 ounce? I can actually feel my knuckles sinking in. I could not believe 8-ounce gloves I was fighting with. And I can actually, every time I threw a punch, my right hand whizzed past him, I would catch him with the left. If I threw the left and it whizzed past him, I'm going to catch him with the right. Watch the shots that were hitting him. They were fast. They might be bold, but they were fast and they were hard. I know he weren't going to last a distance because he's not moving. He saves a lot. He's like a goalkeeper. He saves everything on his face.
But no, it was a brilliant fight and a brilliant win, of course. And again, your first defence. 4 months later, it takes place in Las Vegas against former WBC middleweight world champion Iran Barkley. Now, you managed to score a knockout in the very first round. You put him down 3 times. No one ever did that to Iran Barkley in his career before or after that night. And by the end of his career, he'd been in there with the likes of Michael Nunn, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns twice, James Toney, even Trevor Berbick up at heavyweight. Tell us about that night there. Yeah, he was up at heavyweight.
You're telling me a lot of things that I never knew.
That's the aim here. That's the aim. I'm pleased.
Wow, I never knew all that. But you know what? I'll be honest with you, Joe. It was actually an easy fight. I was going to have it with him all day long. And I tell you how I knew I had him at the weigh-in. At the weigh-in, Joe, I knew I had him. We've got face to face, right? I hope you can see a picture of it. I hope you can see it on mostly on the internet. I'll find out. We looked at each other, right? And I was looking at him to say, "Well, come on in. You want it? I'll have it right now with you." And I was looking at him really hard. And he looked down at the ground, and I thought, yes, From that, I knew I had him. From that, at the weigh-in, not the weigh-in, the press conference, I knew I had him. He looked down because I got right in his grill. I thought, yeah, I'll have it with you right now. And then afterwards, after he done that, the first thing I done when I come out, look at the punch. I done a hot skip and a jump, and then I threw a straight right hand at him. I just knew it. I was not scared of him whatsoever. I didn't have no fear at all whatsoever. I knew he wasn't going to beat me. He's a very a guy that clubs a lot. You know, he's got power, but it wasn't like I had power and I had speed, and I knew I could hit him because he don't move too good. I just knew. So you get me all excited.
Listen, these interviews can. I've had people want to come back to boxing after some of these interviews.
Yeah. Well, not me, mate. Not me.
But surely, I mean, that's one of my favourite wins of all your wins, Nigel. I mean, that's got to be one of your most impressive ones. You say it was easy, but I mean, what a win! No one ever did it to him, you know.
Yeah. Well, to me it wasn't because I didn't want the free knockdown rule because I mean I did that. Actually, I wish I never hit him when he was on the ground, but I was so hyped up. You know, I didn't mean to do that, but I was so hyped up, and I didn't want the free knockdown rules because I knew I would have stopped him anyway. I knew I would have stopped, but knock him out. I'm talking about really hurt him because it's only so much that you can take because he's a clumping fighter. He's not fast. He's powerful, but he's not fast. And I can take his shots, and I can roll with him. He caught me with about only a couple of shots, but not really shots that really hurt me. You know?
That was such a brilliant win, like I say. It's just, wow. And
thank you.
And yeah, obviously 3 months after that, you returned to the UK, you boxed the then 24-0 Chris Eubank. The rivalry goes down as one of the best, if not the best, in British boxing history. The fight takes place...
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, the fight takes place in Birmingham. On this occasion, you stopped in round 9, despite being ahead on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards at the point of the stoppage.
Oh, well, I wish I knew that.
What a fight, though, man. What a fight. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not taking nothing away from Chris because, I mean, his body, his physique was absolutely phenomenal, out of this world. He had a physique, and I used to say, Lord, how come you give me a body like that? You give him a body like that. Oh, man, he was just muscle on top of muscle. And his neck and his jaw was like, and his head was shaped like a mallet. He was just like, you know, he was just a ball of muscle. He was just unbelievable. You know, unbelievable physique, mate. And he's a person I absolutely detest. It was this guy that come. I don't know where he come from. Who's this guy that's giving it all the mouth, talking like the Queen should be in Hove and he should be in Buckingham Palace? A guy that's wearing these joppers and monocles and all. Who are you? I didn't, you know, it was just, he just knew how to rub me up the wrong way. He just knew how to rub me up the wrong way. And it was so funny, and I thank God that Chris was around in my career, because I think without him, mate, you know, I don't think I'd be the fighter I was. I need to have that rivalry, and having Chris there, mate, that was unbelievable. And not just... What happened a week before the fight? Ambrose put me in a hotel right in Birmingham, in the heart of Birmingham, and I remember I was sitting down eating like grapes, fruit, eating all healthy, and I remember getting on the scales in the morning, and I weighed dead on 12 stone, because I weren't training. It was just like and I put on like 6 pounds. I had like 2 hours to lose 6 pounds. And I remember weighing at 11 stone, 5 3/4 pounds. I had to lose that. But that's not taking nothing away, because that was just all fluid. That wasn't like, you know, that my weight was perfect, really. So, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I'm using that as an excuse. Chris deserves to win the fight. I mean, he got me about round 3 or 4. He got with a thumb in my eye. But that's not, please understand, it's not taking nothing away from Chris, because he hit me so hard. Oh my gosh. And, you know, that was where, like, you know, I thought, oh man, this guy can hit. He can hit. So now I know what it's like to really been hit. I think Eubank was there just a little bit behind Joe McClellan in power. He's got a lot of power.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of power.
Yeah, but no.
But he's ugly though anyway. He's got a lot of power, but he's ugly. I've got to get that in, sorry.
But no, he, it was an excellent fight, like I say, and
Yeah, I've always, as much as we didn't get on, I've always got so much respect for Chris. Got so much respect for him, man. And I mean, it's nice to be able to be away from him, knowing that without him, mate, we had over 47,000 at Old Trafford, over 18.5 million people watching us, and over 500 million around the world watching us. Wow, what does that say? So having a rivalry like that, and we had so much the opposite. He'd go and buy an Aston Martin Volante. Then I thought, oh, you're going to buy that? I go and buy Bentley Azure. Then he'd go and get his suits, and then suits fit him like a glove. I thought I'm not going to challenge him because this man's the sharpest dress I've ever seen. Yeah.
After that fight there, Nigel, obviously you returned to the ring at York Hall 5 months later. You become the first man to stop Robbie Sims when you did him in 7 rounds. No, didn't I? We was Kid Milo. Kid Milo was after Robbie Sims.
Oh, really? Okay, right. So jumping the gun.
Nice,
I knew better than you.
But yeah, you moved up to super middleweight to give that a try. That's when you boxed Kid Milo. Did you want to jump in there?
No, well, I think really and truly, I think I want to get back to Robbie Sims really, because I think at the end of the day, he was Marvin Hagler. That was really the first southpaw that I really thought, because I hated fighting southpaws. I just like staying away from southpaws. I can't stand southpaws. They're horrible people to fight. But being honest with you, I thought to myself, I want to go straight back in there. I don't want to go back and fight I want to fight people up there. So fighting Robbie Sims, I thought, well, I've got to prove myself again. So I went out there, didn't want an easy fight. Went out there and done a number on him as well. I don't know if he's been stopped. I don't know. I know it's just like a tough Marvin Hagler's half brother, so and he's very disrespectful anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't really like him.
Yeah, no one ever stopped him in his entire career apart from you. So.
Really?
Yep.
Go on, the Dark Destroyer. Oh my gosh. You got any more good news to tell me?
I like providing the facts. I like surprising people.
Brilliant, mate. But, you should give me all this so I can say, because when Conor wins his world title, I say, oh, what I done here? Did you know they ever stopped it? I know Aaron Barkley. Do you know what? Just to go through all these things that you've been telling me, unbelievable.
I'm going to give them all to you, definitely. But
yeah.
After
and make sure that you give me this interview so I can send it to my son.
1,000,000%.
That's what I need to do. Send it so I can send it to my son. Say, yeah, son, listen to this. This is what your dad done. These are the ones that were never been stopped before. Thank you.
But yeah, you put.
Me and Conor, we got a good rivalry, but we love each other so much.
No, it looks brilliant from the outside looking in, and. You decide to move up to super middleweight, like we say. You put together 5 wins against Kid Milo, Lenzie Morgan, Hector Lescano, Dan Sherry, and Talani Malinga before having to travel to. We'll come back to Malinga.
Well, I think. Yeah. I think we. Let me just go on Malinga. Malinga is my bogeyman.
Yeah, I think so.
Because even the first fight,
it's close.
The decision could have gone his way.
Yeah.
I think it's because I had home support.
Well, that's honest.
Do you understand?
Yeah, that's honest.
I'm going to tell you the truth, that it was mostly because and that was the first night my life changed. I'd done something that I've never done before in my life until after that fight. I was so upset with it. I'd done something wrong that night because of that fight. That changed my whole outlook on life. That fight with Sugar Boy Malinga, someone gave me something, and it changed me as a person.
Do you want to expand? I don't want to push you.
Yeah. That was the first day someone gave me an ecstasy tablet.
Oh wow!
And that was the first night. It was after the Sugar Boy Malinga fight. I was like, oh mate, because I felt bad that I don't think I really won that. And so one of my friends went, yeah, mate, just put that. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was because I like to be honest with anyone. I'm an open book. Everyone knows about my life, my drug addiction, my sex addiction. It's not one of these kind of things. I'm a born-again Christian. My life has changed. But you know what? These are the facts. That was the first time I ever had an exit pill, and it changed my life, my whole outlook on life. And from that time then, I was addicted. Just from that fight. As soon as you mention Sugar Boy Malinga, it's like the Lord saying, tell him what happened. And that is what happened. My whole life changed. Everything of my life changed. I became addicted. Never done cocaine. Everyone thought I'd done cocaine. All the people around the gangsters they all done it. But it wasn't my thing because back in the day, going back, Joey, how old are you, Joey?
20. Oh, I'm trying to think myself. 26. Just a bit older than
26. Right, 26. Right, okay. Well, if we go back, it was like back in the day when I was 12 years old. All we black guys know how to do was smoke a spliff, and that was it. That's all we could afford. We weren't into cocaine like what they done in the stock market, the Wall Street, and all them kind of guys. We didn't have that kind of money, so I was always scared of doing cocaine. It wasn't a black man's drug. And then someone come and gave me this little pill, and that was it. How my life changed from there. So a lot of people thought I used to do cocaine. Never do it. Too scared to do cocaine. I've seen so many people lose money. And I never had to pay for drugs. But that was where my life changed, anyway, to get in a nutshell, to Jerry. Mm-hmm. That time, that was it. And from the time I took one, I was addicted until I retired.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
No, because you know what it is? People don't want to try and pretend they live this clean, living life. You know what? And I tried to, but I had an addiction that kind of just took over my life because there was so much that we can go away from boxing, suffering with depression through the death of my brother from the age of 8. My life changed when my brother was killed by racists back in 1972. So all my life from that time there, something in my heart was severed. So my whole life changed. I was angry from an 8-year-old until I became a Christian when I was 48. Yeah, so there's so much to it. It's not just about boxing. And the only way that my life actually was saved is by me joining the army. That gave me that discipline, because otherwise I could have been either 6 foot under or in a mental hospital, Joe. Yeah. So there's so much to where I am now than where I was before, if you understand what I mean. It wasn't just about boxing. It was just so much how my life was affected from an 8-year-old boy. I was about 45, 46. My life changed. So there's so much. I know that we just want to talk about boxing, but there's so much more. So when you mentioned like Sugar Boy Malinga, it just made me want to spill the beans. Well, not spill the beans. I ain't got nothing to spill. It's my life. I want to tell people what my life was really about, because I suffered all through my career, would you believe, with depression. And then finding out later on in life that I had bipolar. Wow, where did that come from? How you got bipolar? Because every single day, even to this day, I train twice a day, every day. Every day, without fail. And that's with my bipolar, which I'm on medication. And it's so funny, I'm not scared to mention it. It just puts me... I have this thing that I just have to train. It's not a bad thing. It's actually not a bad thing, because I was suffering a lot of depression for, I don't know, I was just depressed for a period of my life. And it was only when I became a Christian that I kind of had to deal with certain things in my life. I had to deal with the unfaithfulness to my wife, not being a good father, cheating on my wife, doing drugs. I had to deal with a lot of issues in my life, and the death of my brother, who I loved. So there was a lot of things that I never dealt with as a child that I was only dealing with now. Wow, as I got older, that I started dealing with a lot of these things. So when you talk about boxing, Joe, it is absolutely so much more than me just talking about the fight. But now, we can get back to the fights. But I just really want you to understand that the life that I lived wasn't an easy life. My life wasn't much different than Mike Tyson's. It wasn't much different. It was just the same. I was always in the papers. Oh, sleeping with this girl, sleeping with that girl, doing this, doing that, doing this. hanging out with the gangsters, doing it. So it was just a crazy life. The only actually time I had peace, Joe, is when I was training. That was the only time. When I was training, oh my gosh, I was in ecstasy. I was just like, not ecstasy.
Bad word.
I'm trying to use another word. Yeah. I was in my element when I was training because I had that discipline from the army. So I just loved it. I loved it. And as soon as I come out, I started popping pills, and that was it. And sometimes it got so bad, Joe. It was like, oh yeah, quick, let me just bang them out. I just want to go out and party. That was it. Mm. That was it, because it was like the only way I can actually describe it to anybody. Have you watched the film Madagascar?
No.
Yeah, watch the film Madagascar when the lion gets shot in the butt with the dart, and he goes, he sees all stars and everything, and he's out of his mind. That's what I was like. I can relate to him. So weird. But you know what it is, Joe? I can laugh about it now because I come through the other end.
Yeah, you did.
Did you understand? I come through the other end.
Yeah, you did.
A lot of people there that were still stuck in. The people that I was out partying with, they're still there now. Oh my gosh. I could never see me out. I don't go to clubs. I don't even go to wine bars or anything. Not that I'm against it. It's just not me no more. But I've had that life. You know? It's like, but I've come out the other end now. I'm sitting here in my mansion, watching my big screen TV with my wife, still with my wife after nearly 30 years, and yet I'm more happily married. Now I'm doing everything. I know this is not about boxing, but I might as well get it off my chest while I'm here.
Go ahead.
It's like now what me and my wife do, we go around, we work for Hillsong Church, where we help men that are struggling with a drug addiction, sex addiction, depression, suicide, all these kind of things that we try and help people with. And when I first came to Australia, then when I started with the church, I used to go around just driving around delivering food like to people that ain't got food in, that got like 6 kids, a husband left them and all these kids. And I'm driving food around. And you know what? I enjoy that more. I'll go and visiting people in hospital, praying for people. One guy, a guy from Thailand, he just flew back to Australia and he passed out. He had a blackout, but nobody can understand why he had a blackout. And no one didn't know how long he was lying on the floor. And they got him into hospital anyway, and they wanted me to go down and pray with him and talk with him. But he can't speak English and I can't speak Thai. So then what happened, he went to me, he needs a shave. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this reminds me of my dad. My dad couldn't say, God rest his soul, before he passed away. I remember I was in hospital shaving my dad. And now I'm in Thailand shaving this man who can't speak English. His daughters know who I was, but he was putting his hand up to say that, oh, you box and all that. But it was just nice that I was able to help this man that I don't know shave, speak with him, pray to him in English, praying for him in English. And then next minute I'm then taking food to another family that whose husband's left them. She's got 6 kids. I've got to deliver food to her. I started off doing small things, delivering food, and I don't mind doing that. This is the 2-time world champion, but I have more enjoyment out of doing things like that than when I was boxing, because it seems that everybody was serving me, and it's nice to be able to go out and serve other people. And the joy that you get, you think, wow, what a blessed day that I've had. I'm here to help somebody. These are the things that really kind of take me away from the dark places that I was in for many, many years. I have more joy in doing it than ever being world champion, because you know what it is? I get joy out of doing that. Right, now that's all off my chest. Let's go back to boxing.
Before we return to it, I just want to say, Nigel, because being happy, and I say this to everyone I speak to, really, being happy is really one of the most important things, if not the most important thing in the world. So if this gives you happiness, and at the same time you're giving them happiness, everyone's winning. It's a beautiful, healthy thing,
It is. You can't beat that, because it is. You feel like you're doing something very productive in your life. Before, Joe, it was all about me. If I was smoking spliff, chasing women, upsetting my wife, McClellan and them seeing how I put their mum through. So that was a dark place I was in for. We don't have that now. My wife don't even for many, many years, 16 years, I was unfaithful to my wife. And I told her everything about it when I became a Christian. I confessed everything. But yet now, she don't even think, because she don't know that man anymore. She has a different man. She's the man that she's proud of, the man that's doing the job, what God called me to do, to help these broken men. And so that's why we just have a great laugh now. We don't even remember the past. And now what we're doing, we're trying to watch out over our son, make sure he don't follow the path that I do, because there's a lot of temptations out there. And we've got to make sure that we protect our kids. And I remember Connor saying to me, we ain't gone back to boxing yet, but I remember Connor saying to me with so much disgust, Connor used to say to me, and because I used to hurt his mum, not physically, but mentally, he said, I'll never be like you. And he screwed up his face and said, I'll never be like you, Dad. I'll never be like you. I'll never treat my... And he was only like 14. And I thought, oh, you little cheeky little... But it was true, and it used to angst me. It was like, in my stomach, I could feel that. And what he was saying was true, and I thank God my son is not like me. I thank God that we've raised a lovely boy, Oh,
that's beautiful, man. That really is beautiful. Yeah. It's so nice to hear this. Returning to the boxing, though.
I promise I won't change the subject again.
You can do what you like, my friend. Trust me. I got all the time in the world for you. But after the Malinga fight, obviously you travel to Lazio, Italy. You fight the WB. You fight for the WBC super middleweight.
Mauro Galvano.
Mauro Galvano. Yeah. He ends up retiring on his stool after 3 rounds. He tried to sneak his way out of it, didn't he?
Of course he did. Yeah. Oh, headbutt me. Yeah, you only thing that you headbutt was my right hand. That was it. And you know what? I got to thank Barry Hearn for that, mate. Got to thank Barry Hearn for that, mate. Barry Hearn stood his ground, and then I looked over to my right. Who do I see sitting down there? Chris Eubank there, sitting down there. So now we can get it on. Now we can get it on. So he's following me around, because now he's got the 3rd division belt, and I've got the Premier belt. Yeah, I was gloating, really, tell you the truth.
How did it feel to be a 2-weight world champion here? Obviously, you mentioned about the WBO, the British board. They wouldn't. What's the word I'm looking for? Recognise it. What was this like? Was it? Had you kind of had that feeling like you've already been a world champion, or was it something new?
No, I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna answer that question later on, because then it will fall into place, because it's something that. How did it feel? I'll try and answer it this way, and I'll answer it again at the end of the chat we have. It was like I was just sitting there, because they were trying to nick the belt off of me. It was like I was so kind of peed off. I thought, work my butt off for it, because I was actually meant to fight him in England, and they said, no, you've got to fight in Italy, because in Italy, you can knock them out and you might get a draw. So I thought to myself, they're going to try. But Barry Hearn fought all his way for me, mate, and I thank Barry Hearn for that. Because without Barry Hearn, I would not be WBC champion.
Yeah.
So I was really over the moon. It was like, and it was so funny, Joe. This is going to make you laugh. At that time, she was my girlfriend. I said to Caroline, I said, yeah, I've won. Oh, great! What did you win? I won my fight. Oh, well done. I'm WBC champion. Oh my gosh, you're not, are you? She never knew nothing about boxing.
WBC.
It was so funny. Oh my gosh, yeah. She just lost the plot that I became world champion. She didn't know. And that's another thing. She kept me quiet for 2 years. Nobody knew I was seeing my wife at that time. My girlfriend.
Wow.
Because she didn't want people to think that she changed because she was me. She kept me quiet for 2 years. Wouldn't let nobody know that she was seeing me for 2 years.
That must have been
that's another story. That's a whole another subject. That it really is.
Okay. But yeah, you had a quick turnaround. You were back out 2 months later in London defending the belt against Nicky Piper. You got him out of there in the 11th. Tell us about that one, Nigel.
Do you know what it was? When I saw Nicky Piper, right, I thought to myself, this white guy has the baddest physique, man. He had a physique better than mine. He was ripped to shreds. And I thought to myself, and he can bang some Nicky Piper. And what it was, he kept on leaning back and just hooking me with a long left hook. And Jimmy Tibbs said, get inside, work downstairs and break up the body. That was the only way that I was going to beat him. And I started bashing away at his body, bashing away at his body, bashing away at his body, kept on bashing away. And I was hitting him hard. I know he's got an IQ of 150 something. I know when he left the ring, mate, he had an IQ of about 10 when I finished with him. He was tough though. Yeah, he was tough, but sometimes you just know that you're going to beat people. You just know. But it had to be Jimmy Tibbs telling me, saying, now go downstairs, start working his body, break his body up. And that's what I done. So I changed it because I'm going to try to jab a 6'2" guy. I couldn't do that. You know? Just broke him up downstairs, but that was a good fight. I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, and like we said, it was a quick turnaround, only 2 months after coming back from Lazio. Your next fight, you travelled to Glasgow, March the 6th, 1993, that rematch with Galvano. This time it goes the distance. You win unanimously, though, over 12. What do you remember about
but
that
it's so funny, the last punch, the last round, he caught me with a shot, and I got all wobbly. Oh, my God. And they thought he was hey, he's jumping out like he won. It's only one punch that you give me, all right? You hurt me, because I wasn't ready for that. I remember that. But, it was another easy fight anyway. It was an easy fight.
Yeah. And 3 months later, you defend against Lou Gent at the Kensington Olympia. You had him down 5 times, I think it was.
Yeah. Lucian, he was up for the fight, but the difference is you got to understand he might be, because he's really a cruiserweight and he got all the way down to super middleweight, and but by that time, you see, I'm a small super middleweight. I'm not a big super middleweight, but I pack a lot. I pack a big punch. So I'm not making the weight. I'm not really struggling, but he's got to come down from cruiserweight to light heavy to super middleweight. You know, that's where he was like really a cruiserweight, but he came all the way down, you know, and I know for a fact, he didn't even hurt me. He was just winging punches in, but I know when I was hitting him hard. I knew it wasn't going to go the distance. Sometimes you just know, and you know. I didn't feel none of his power at all. I didn't feel none of the power. He come to have a fight, which Lou Gent's a lovely guy, but just weren't in my league, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Not being disrespectful.
No, not at all. Yeah, no. And then we get to October 9th of 1993. You touched on it.
Henry Wharton.
That comes after this.
Oh, right.
This comes after this. This is, we're now at Old Trafford. You touched on it. The unification, obviously, for your WBC and his WBO. This time, the fight would end in a split draw. A lot of people thought you nicked it, Nigel. A lot of people thought
I didn't nick it. I won it. I don't nick nothing. I win things. I win things. I don't nick things. I win things. You know what it is. And they said, Larry O'Connor said, like, you know, you're deducting the point. Look where his bloody shorts are. They're up around his neck. How can you take a point off? Look where his shorts are. They're right up to his chest. And he deducted the point, and we got a draw. But you know what it is, being honest with you, Joe, you know, you can have, like, there's been much more worse decisions than mine. You know, as long as I've got that belt around my waist, I've still got £1 million.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that was all right, a draw. But you know what it is? I still feel one, but I take it. I'd rather take a draw than a loss. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He went on and went and done his things, and I went on and done mine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they were just trying for the third fight, but I think it was just too long gone now. Too long gone.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, you jumped forward there. Your next fight, obviously, next defence was February 26th, 1994, against the undefeated Henry Wharton. Unanimous decision win for you in Earls Court. Henry Wharton, I think, was a little bit of an underachiever, really. But yeah, tell us about
No. He started coming on about round 6, round 6, 7, and I already had it in the bag.
Yeah.
You know, and he started giving me some body shots, and I remember coming home, man, and I was urinating blood for 3 days. Oof. I remember urinating blood for 3 days because he's powerful, but he started late. He started late. It could have been a different fight if he attacked me early. But I knew he was powerful. I knew he was strong. Sometimes you can mix fire with fire, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like it. I thought I was just going to kind of box him and move him and bash him without having to have a war with him. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to be like that. And then sometimes with other fighters, you just got to have a war with him. But I knew I could have a war with him because he had a good left hook. And he started late. I think around 7 or 8 he started. But by that time, bye, too late. You missed it.
Yeah.
And then he fought Eubank. Then he got another hiding.
Yeah, I mean, he was tough, though, you know. He never got stopped or anything.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I love Henry, mate. Lovely guy.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
And that card in particular as well, that night at Earl's Court. Who's who of names on that card, you know?
I don't know who was on there.
Oh, boy. So you had Michael Nunn on the card. Steve Little.
Against Steve Little, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. You had Lloyd Hunnigan. You had Oliver McCall on the card as well.
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
Dennis Andrews as well.
Oh, wow.
It was a real good card.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, some serious
That's
names.
A shocker.
That's
a shocker.
But yeah, moving on. Your next defence came in September against former two-time world title challenger, Juan Carlos Jimenez. Jimenez obviously been in there with Mauro Galvano. He's been in there with Chris Eubank. Do you remember much about that one?
Oh, right. That was in Birmingham, wasn't it?
That one was, yes.
Yeah. See, now that was another guy that I weren't going to mix it with. Do you know what? It was just like, I remember I was hitting him. He was, oh, come on. That's what he said to me. I thought, oh, okay, you're one of them kind of guys. He was the only one to say, come on. Like, he didn't feel none of my punches.
Jesus.
He did not feel none of my punches.
His nickname was The Bull.
He was just like, I don't know, I think Joe Kawasaki smashed him though. I think Joe Kawasaki smashed him a bit. But when I fought him, he was just like, yeah, come on. That's what he said to me. I thought, no, not today, mate. No. I know what you want. Nope. Because he was just, his head was like a size 10 football. It was just, it was just big, man. It was like really, I thought to myself, how in the hell can you make super middleweight? It's like light heavy, like cruiserweight. He's just big, thick, fat. And my punches were just bouncing off of him. Ping, ping, ping. And he weren't feeling them. I think he was the toughest person. He was like Jorge Amparo. They were just tough. Yeah. They were tough. They're the people that you just throw punches out there and you're not even putting a dent in them. Yeah. So sometimes you've got to be smart.
Yes.
Some people you can have a fight, or some people are just going to ping you and move. Yeah. You know. Yeah. That's what he was like, but he was very tough, very, very tough. One of the toughest people I fought.
Yeah, he can punch a bit as well.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, so he had I think he had about 50 fights or something like that. He had a long record, mate.
Yeah, in the end, he ended up having 62 wins, 42 KOs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. See.
Yeah,
see, that's like when you got someone going, come on, no, not today. I'm not having that. Just want to get you out of there.
And then we arrive at February the 25th, 1995 in Millwall. You take on former two-time middleweight world champion Gerald McClellan. You're knocked out of the ring in the first round. You were down in the 8th, although I think the hook that you missed him with, it was largely the reason that you went down. Then, of course, McClellan takes a knee twice in a 10th. He allows himself to be counted out. Obviously, the events that followed the fight were tragic, but the fight itself was one of the most, as the commentator said on the night, one of the most electrifying fights in British history, really. Talk us through the fight itself. Obviously, it was a brilliant one.
No, well, to be honest with you, it all started. This is how it all started. Don King said, fight Michael Nunn, but we're going to take $100,000 off. And my agent at the time said to him, no, he ain't taking no money off. He's the world champion. And he said to my agent, if we don't, we're going to bring over Mini Mike Tyson, Mini Gerald McClellan. And you can just imagine how I feel. I mean, I would fill up a swear box because the way that he feels that I'm going to back down for this man. thinking that I'm scared. Like a lot of guys said, okay, I'll take the fight. I don't work like that. I'll fight literally anybody. Anybody you put in front of me that's under 12 stone, I'll fight. And so when he said that, that just really got my goat up. I think, no, if you don't fight him, you're going to fight Mini Mike. Well, bring him on then. Like, I give him the effort, like, I really care. You bring him on. That was my attitude at the time. And then, and if you watch the end of the fight, watch Don King come over to me. Yeah, you made a believer in me. I said, yeah, you only brought him over here to bash me up. Watch it. I told him straight to his face. He knows at the end of the day, he don't want to fall out with me, because at the end of the day, he knows he's bringing a good crowd. And he paid me what I wanted to pay. He didn't try and scam me or anything. So yeah, I got no problem with him. But don't think I'm gonna back down. You're gonna bring in Mini Mike Tyson. Who cares? Bring him on. And that was my whole attitude. You know, that was my whole attitude. So they think they're gonna bring in Mini Mike Tyson. And no disrespect to Joe McClellan, but he came over here, and I think it was very disrespectful to my dad, saying like, you know, I'm gonna hurt your boy. That's what he said to my dad at the press conference. And my dad said, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's what my dad said to him. And I thought to myself, that kind of really gave me the right hump, that did, when he talked to my dad like that. That, you know, and I think it was just cocky. You know, I didn't wish that on anybody, but it was just so cocky, so full of himself. You know, and being honest with you, I was not scared whatsoever. 100% I was not scared. Because you watched the first round come out, and I looked at him, and I thought to myself, I looked him right in the eyes, stared him out, give him that, and then afterwards, like, you know, I looked at him, he just looks just a skinny guy. That was it. Didn't frighten me whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, I felt his power. And my gosh, it was like, he hit me up in my head, man, and I went out, and it was like, and I remember looking up, I thought, I'm on the floor. And then I got up, I was all over the place. And then I went back to my corner, and Denny Mancini, God rest his soul, he moved my trainer Kevin out of the way and said, look at the state that you got him in. And I'm like, what? Really? Okay. I said, ring the bell. Watch the second round of that fight. I'm chasing him around. Something's happened in my head now. Something in my subconscious has happened in my head, because I don't remember me backing up. He was hitting me with everything. I didn't care. I'm chasing him around now. He's not chasing me. I'm chasing him for, yeah, what? Come on. Bang, hit me, yeah. Boom, yeah. Bang, hit me, yeah. So what? Come on. My whole attitude changed. I mean, in one round, you've got to find this round, there's a punch that I throw at him, right? It's a right hand, but you can actually, the speed and the power of it kind of mostly broke this guy. Because I hit him so hard. I think it's the hardest punch besides Dan Sherry that I've ever hit somebody with a right hand. And it shook him up. And I think that was the beginning of it. That was the beginning of it. But I wasn't in the right frame of mind anyway, so don't think I'm you know, that I was going softer and anything. But I mean, I just wanted to destroy him. I wanted to annihilate him. I didn't care. When he put me down in round 8, it was a half-slit punch. I remember I come out through a right hand and uppercut left hook, and thought, when you come out for round 9, you got more of that. It was something in my subconscious that I don't remember. I don't remember what actually went on, but I know for a fact that I was actually hitting him hard, and I know his gum shield was hanging out of his mouth. And you got to understand, he was a bully in the ring. He used to chase everybody down and break them all up, break them all down, and break them. But now the tables have flipped. He moved straight from light middle to middle and into super middleweight. It takes you about 6 to 8 months to adapt to the weight. It don't happen overnight. And the guys that you was blowing away at middleweight and light middle, you can't do that at super middleweight. These guys are much more stronger. So at the end of the day, I just knew I had it. I just, you know, after round that, when he went down, Denny Mancini said, look, he's half swallowed. He said he's half swallowed. He said, look, his heart swallowed. And that was it, really, being honest with you. It was it, really. I just knew that for a fact that I was hitting him hard. And I remember I put out a right hand. I threw a right hand over the top of his guard because he was like, he didn't punch and he had his hand out. And I went bang, was straight with the right hand over the top and did an uppercut. And that's when he went in the corner.
And yeah, again, while the fight lasted, it was an excellent one. Especially like we say, the first round, you're out the ring, and I you watch that back, you think, whoa, you're taking clean shots. You look like you were gone at one point from the camera angles behind you.
Would.
Then you're back, and then obviously you win the second round, you come out the third, and it was just an electrifying fight. I don't want to obviously touch on it too deeply, but I can imagine
no,
it
you
must
can't.
have...
Listen, no, it didn't affect me whatsoever. No, this is not about that. Oh yes, no, never affected me whatsoever. Never affected me whatsoever. I was in my own arena. I was in my own issues in my own life. My own unfaithfulness to my wife, my own depression. I wasn't thinking about him. I was not thinking about him. I had my own worries to deal with. I had a son born 4 days older than my twins. I had my own issues to deal with. So I wasn't really thinking about Joe McClellan. Not at all. I had a lot of issues I had to deal with.
I want to ask, though, Nigel, you say about, obviously, and you said it, your life changed, you took a pill and, everything.
Yeah.
During this point here when, you are conscious, even though you've got your own problems going on, you're aware of what's happening with him and, you're taking pills at that time. Was the pills kind of doing you good at that point or doing you absolutely terrible?
While I was fighting, I stopped taking them.
Yeah, no. But I mean, when you find out the seriousness of his, after the fight, that he wasn't obviously very well.
No, because I'm not being trying to be. They brought him over here to bash me up. The first thing in the News of the World paper, the first thing that the McClellan family said, we wanted Ben dead. Now we want his money. Go and F yourself. So you think I'm going to worry about that? Oh, we wanted Ben dead. Now we want his money. Go and F yourself and go and look at your promoter, Don King. He's the one that brought him over to bash me up. Don't look at me. You're not getting a penny from me. That was my whole attitude. Don't come over here and say, oh, because now the tables are turned, that, oh, we wanted Ben dead. Didn't say like, well, we wanted Ben to really, really lose the fight. No, we wanted Ben dead. And you think you're going to get it? Oh. See, you got to understand, it's not like they're coming over and they're like, they're lovely people. Do you understand? They're coming over and say, we wanted Ben dead, now we want his money. This is the same guy that fight pit bulls. They lose, what did he go and do? Shoot them in the back of the head. This is the kind of guy that he is. This is the kind of guy that he is. But you know what we done? After 12 years, I've not seen him. What do? We go and put on a big show in London. What did me and Kevin Lucien done? In Mayfair, in London. Black guys don't do that. Being able to go and do a big show in the Mayfair at the Grosvenor House Hotel. Two of us. We had all the East Ender stars. We had all the coronation things. We had all the celebrities there. And we raised $250,000 for him. Did anybody do that? No. We done that. Regardless about how I felt at the time, I still have empathy for him. And you know what? I thought, you know what? I wish, you know what? Oh, thank you, Lord. You know what happened? His son wrote to my manager, wanted me to help him out while he's boxing. His son wrote me a letter, wanted me to help him. This is not too long ago, and I can give you my agent's number, and you can see the letter that come from his son. I was shocked. He knew I never meant it. He knew I never meant it. Yeah. But his son's a lovely boy, but messed up because he didn't have time with his dad. So there's a big circle. There's a big. It just doesn't end with one person. It doesn't end with me. It's his family, his son at the time. So there's so much, but he knew the risk. You know.
Yeah. And
so there's a lot involved, but yet we still made $250,000. This is after his sister wanted to go and tell a story saying that, we found blood on Joe McClellan's boot and it had steroids in it. Oh my gosh. I actually said on the documentary, The Fight of Our Lives, I said, like, if you said like I was smoking spliff and taking ecstasy, yeah, I'll put my hands up. But it's nowhere on God's green earth you're going to say that I took steroids, anabolic steroids. It's just not who I am, because it would make me feel like, I don't know if you know who Ben Johnson was. Do you know Ben Johnson?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, Ben Johnson, who raised Carl Lewis in 100 meters from Canada. Oh, go and watch that. You understand? He's built like a big toilet, and he got done for drugs, and he was like the first one that went down. And so it was like me looking at all the British public that backed me all through my career, loved me through my career, helped me through my career, and then find out, oh my gosh, my hero has been taking drugs, anabolics. I couldn't do that. How can I look the British public in the eye and know that I was a cheat? If they said he'd been smoking spliff, well, that's not going to make him any more fit. He's been taking ecstasy, might make him buzzing. But do you understand? That was my limit. I'm not going to go and do anabolics. It's just not who I am. Not who I am. No. So when his sister said all these kind of things, I think, hold on a minute. And we actually got hold of Don King to say, like, you know what, this is what she said. And you know what? He put a stop to it. He put a stop to it like that. So do you understand? So these are the kind of people, money-hungry people. I raised $250,000. I didn't have to do that, but you know what? It was what was in my heart. And then yet you come after I'd done this and brought you over to England with Joe McClellan to raise money for him and saying, what a special man. And then next minute, 2 twos, you're sending me a story and saying, like, oh yeah, he was pretending that he felt this way. He was only. You can't act something like this. You can't act. You can't pretend that you're crying, because you know what? When you actually sit down and meet Joe and he's talking to you, and he's saying, how is it? He's asking his sister, how is it? You have to shout in his ear because he can't hear. He's like 8% deaf and in a wheelchair. And he was saying, like, to his sister, how is it? I know he didn't really mean to do that. I know he didn't mean it. But he was saying it, and it was breaking me up because I was crying inside. I had to get out from doing this show because it was like, I just couldn't take no more, because now you're holding the man's hand and you know that you've done it. And it's really affected you, because now you think every word that he says, because he's not in the right frame of mind, it's turning like a knife inside, and you're like, oh my gosh. And I had to leave. I didn't want to stay around because I wasn't in the right frame. Because now you've actually, when I was horrible, when I was already in my own dark place, I didn't give a monkey's about anybody. But now I've become born again. My whole life is changed. I'm not that same person. So when I'm actually speaking to him, it's really hard, because I'm not that person that didn't like him. I'm a person that loves him and just really want to see the best for him. So the whole attitude is changing. So when he's saying these things, asking his sister, how is he? Does he feel? Does he look sad? I know he didn't mean to do that. And I think, oh my gosh, it's like, and I actually thought I just had to get out. I actually left. But it was nice to know that I've raised $250,000 for this young man, And then, like, his sister come out and then want to write a bloody book and saying, like, that he found, do a story about it. And then the book was going to come out that I wasn't really what I was. I was just faking it. How horrible! How horrible! Would you do instead of saying, you know what? Thank you for helping my son out. When you got all these multi-millionaires, not one of them that was donating money. He had to get these 2 street boys from Ilford and from South London to come and put on a big show in at the Grosvenor Hotel in Mayfair. It doesn't happen. You can speak now.
No, I appreciate you going into that much detail, but Going back to the fight briefly, obviously he had you down twice. You were such an exciting fighter because, you know, you'd get knocked down occasionally, you'd get back up, then you'd put them down.
Yeah.
Your powers of recovery were frightening. Would you agree that perhaps your powers of recovery were perhaps one of the best we've seen? You get up, you didn't even look hurt.
But I didn't really. The only time I really struggled to really get up was against Michael Watson because my tank was empty. But besides, like, you know, getting up off the ground, I'm okay. I could, you know, because I weren't tired. I wasn't tired when he put me down in round 8. I wasn't tired because I came straight back on. I can't say. I have to let the British public decide that, not me. It's not me. Oh yeah, I'm okay. My recovery is good. You know, just, you know, can't blow me out of trumpet. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I think it was really good. But five months later, you're back in the same venue. This time defending against Vincenzo Nardiello, the former European champion. He went on to become WBC world champion after. But
I know. Can you believe that?
Yeah, crazy. You managed to knock him out in 8. Do you remember much about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was just it was another easy night. It was no problem. It was just like a horrible fighter. Can't punch, couldn't break an egg. Yeah, no power whatsoever. Just like a typical Italian running around. You know, I didn't feel nothing. It was no power whatsoever. No power whatsoever. Just he's one of the kind of guy that want to try and nick the fight, not coming to really have a tear up. You know, he couldn't have a tear up with me. It's actually an very easy fight. One of the easiest, really, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And your final successful world title defence came against Daniel Perez. You become the only man to ever stop him as well.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Are you telling me a lot of good news, man?
I'm pleased. But yeah, you get rid of him in the 7th round at the Wembley Stadium on the Bruno McClellan.
And he can, I'll be honest with you, he can punch.
Yeah.
He can punch. He dazed me. He kind of maybe had a couple of buzzing moments in there, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. No, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He didn't have. I'm looking at his record.
He was like.
He only had 5 knockouts.
Jimenez. He what?
He only had 5 knockouts, you know.
Yeah, but it still buzzed me though.
Yeah.
It still buzzed me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But no,
fair enough. Yeah.
You're the only person to stop him. He only fought once more after that anyway. He got a win and retired. But anyways, it was on obviously the Bruno McClellan card, like we say. 6 months after that, we're now in March of 1996. This is where you have the rematch against Talani Malinga. You know, the same guy you'd beaten on points 4 years prior. Yeah. This time though, you'd lose a split decision in Newcastle. Tell us about that night. The night you lost to WBC.
Being honest, it wasn't. You know what? And I think that was being kind. What happened? I'll be honest with you, Joey. What really happened? I trained harder for this fight than any of my fights ever because of what I thought about what happened last time, where it was a close decision. And what happened, I peaked too quick. When I fought him, I'm not trying to take nothing away. He was my bogeyman. Yeah. And I remember he was hitting me, but I couldn't read him. And then he threw a right hand and it split my lip. And I actually thought my lip split. I got a big scar on my lip now. I actually thought my lip split. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be a long night. I wasn't myself. I left too much in the gym. But not taking nothing away from him. He was just like my bogeyman. He would mostly beat me 9 out of 10 times. He'd beat me. You know what I mean? He was just one of them people that, you know, I couldn't read him. You know, it's just one of them fights. It was just one of them fights. I can't say any more than that. It was just like one of them kind of fights that, you know, that I weren't going to win. I don't know why. You put me in someone again like Joe McClellan again, I'll win because he's going to come and have a fight with me. But Malinga is just one of my bogeymen. That's all I can say about him. Just one of my bogeymen.
Yeah. But no,
he actually reminds me of Winston Burnett, who I fought twice. Okay. That's what he reminds me of.
Okay. And then obviously now comes your last two fights, which obviously took place in July and November of 1996 against Steve Collins both times for his WBO. First fight you couldn't continue during the fourth because you'd fallen awkwardly on your right ankle. The second you retire on your store at the end of the sixth. Not the way obviously you'd have wanted the story to end, but give us a word on
but being honest with you, I actually bet 100 grand that I'd beat him.
Ooh, damn.
And I think if I've got to bet 100 grand for me to beat him, then there's something wrong. I've never done that before in my life. Mm-hmm. But I just knew for a fact I was dealing with, not taking nothing away from Steve. Please understand, not taking that from Steve, because me and Steve, I remember when we was in Belfast. He was fighting Carr. I think he was fighting Carr. We was there, and we were talking. I said, "Yeah, come on, Steve, let's get it on me and you," you know. And I think it was really like, you know, for the next two paydays, really. My heart wasn't really in it. Not taking nothing away from Steve. I didn't want to go out like that. But I tried to fight, but it just wasn't me. Just wasn't me. It wasn't the man that got in the room with Eubank. It wasn't the man that got in with Joe McClellan. It wasn't the man that got in with Barkley. It wasn't the man that got in with DeWitt. It wasn't. But I was trying to catch it all back, but it was Steve's night. Not going to take nothing away from Steve. Not going to try and belittle him. He prepared like the champion. He was a good fighter, strong fighter.
And obviously you retired in the ring right afterwards, after the second fight. I want to ask you this as well, because obviously, you know, 4 fighters came through kind of in the same sort of time. Obviously you and Eubank and Kawasaki a bit after, and Collins.
Yeah. At
your absolute peaks, all 4 of you, how would you rate from the best, second best to third best to fourth best?
I think Joe Kawasaki.
Better than yourself?
And then, yeah.
That's honest.
Yeah.
That would have been something.
You can't knock a man with an undefeated record.
Yeah.
You can't. You know, and I'm not. You know, it's just like me saying like, well, Carl Foch. But you know, that's another story. But the difference is, it's when a man's got undefeated, he's been there with the best. When Joe fought somebody that was rubbish, he'd box rubbish. When he fought somebody that was good, like when he gave Jeff Lacey a hammering, made him look like an amateur, made him look like he should be in the same ring. That's class. That's class. And I think, you know what? If I fought Joe, he would know he'd been in the fight. He'd know he'd been in the fight. And you know, because one thing is with me, I try. All I know, he would know that he's been in a fight. I don't know if I'd win, but I know that he'd get the best out of me, and I get the best out of him. Yeah. So so when you got a guy who's retired undefeated, unblemished record, you can't really say, okay, yeah, well, I would have done this, I don't know what I would have done. I know he would have been in the fight, but I think I would have been second on the list at my prime.
Okay. How the 3 and 4 work?
What, you didn't expect that, did you?
No, not really. I'm quite surprised. But you know,
why is that? Why would you be surprised?
I just think if you went into that fight with him, and you know, you could put it on him early and turn it into a fight, turn it into a typical Ben fight. Jesus Christ! If you pull him into a dogfight.
yeah, I know. I've seen him been put down a couple of times. But what you do is you don't blow your own trumpet. You're just being realistic, tell you the truth, Joey. Just being realistic, mate. Not. I think because now that I've retired, I can kind of sit back and say, well, you know what? If I win or lose, you know what? It would have been a great fight.
It would have. Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? And then you look at it. He's been there with Kessler. He's done good. He's been in with some good fighters. He's been in with some rubbish fighters. But when he had to step up to the plate, he done so. I done so. I'm happy. Do you understand? It's only when men don't feel comfortable in themselves. I feel very comfortable in myself, and I like to speak honest. I don't like to give out any BS or whatever. I just, he would have been. Joe, he would have been in the fight. Mm-hmm. That's all I could say, Joey.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. How do 3 and 4 work out?
I'd put with Michael Watson in there. Yeah, see, I think
I actually forgot to include him. I said.
Yeah, no, see, I didn't.
Yeah, my apologies. I said Collins and Eubank.
Yeah, no, I think because I've got to say, once I've got the experience, it might have been a different fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Michael was very smart at the time I come, because I was still raw. I was still wet behind the ears. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And I mean, to go I think 6 rounds in at a novice state, he had me. But, as I went on and started learning my trade, it would have been a different fight with Michael. It would have been a different fight with Steve Collins as well. Because, I've been in some good fights, and at that time I was, and I'll be honest with you, Joey, it was a lot to do with my private life that kind of brought down my career. Mm-hmm. My private life. That's what really kind of changed everything, the direction of my career, really. Because I had too much. The only time I actually had peace was when I was training. But you got to understand, sometimes when things affect you in your training, because regardless of how I'm training, you're still thinking about your wife, thinking about your kids. Is she going to divorce you? So you've got all these kind of things going on. Oh my gosh, you've got so much going on in your head. Is she going to say to you, your kids leaving you? So you've got so much that you're trying to deal with. So it wasn't if I was happy at home. I mean, not happy. I was happy at home. If I was faithful, I could have been in a better position. But it was always. I always started something. It was always me. Do you understand? It was always me. So there was so much that was actually going on. There was so much that was, and that's why I was making a comeback, because because I had peace in my life now, and I'm more fit now than ever. I've no spliff, no XC, nothing. No, I've been training. I train twice every day. I can actually send you over when me and Connor went to Harley Street. They do this test on you. I've got the results here, and I can show you that. I'm not even giving you no BS. They strap all these straps on you, put the mouth thing over you, the oxygen mask over you, or whatever it is. Oh no, not the oxygen mask. And you ride the bike. And they said, if they said I got the fitness of a 45-year-old, like 50 or 50, 54 or 55. If they said I had the fitness of a 45-year, I'll be happy. If they said I had the fitness of a 35-year-old, I'd have been over the moon. But when they said that I've got the fitness of a very fit 25-year-old, I said, don't talk BS to me. And they showed me the report. This is in Harley Street, not Backward Street. This is Harley Street. And they showed me how fit I was. Because I didn't realize how fit I was, because like I said, with my bipolar, I've been training like twice every day. And I wear a lot of my oxygen, my altitude mask, and ride my bike, like the Tour de France riding. So these are the kind of things that made me want to come back, because I had no stress. Do you understand? I don't have stress like I had in boxing. Mm-hmm. That's why I was going to make a comeback. Yeah. Until my shoulders played up.
Yeah. So sorry, so we were going through the five names.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah.
You had Kawasaki
just get excited
one.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Kawasaki number 1, yeah, you number 2, 3, 4, and 5 between Watson, Collins, and Eubank. What do you think?
Yeah. I think Collins, Eubank, and Watson.
Okay. That's a good list. That's a good order. That's a good order.
Yeah.
And coming,
I'm talking about in my prime. I'm not talking about definitely. A man that's. I'm talking about a man in the prime of my career.
Yeah, definitely. And coming down to the last few questions, Nigel, these are pretty kind of quick ones. You won't have to think too deep about them.
Why not? I like thinking quick, thinking deep.
What win out of all the wins in your career, all 42 of them, would you say was the most satisfying win?
Gerald McClellan.
Gerald McClellan. Okay.
Yeah, 100 wins. Nothing comes close. Especially when everybody had me to be knocked out within round 1 to 3. Nobody gave me longer. Only one person had me to win, and that was Ken Gorman from the Star. I think he's passed away now, but it was Ken Gorman had me, the only one that had me to win in round 10.
Yeah.
Ken Gorman.
And go on, sorry.
Yeah, because it was like everybody had me to lose.
Yeah.
So to win that fight was, was amazing. Was amazing.
And obviously, you could punch, yourself, you could whack yourself. But who would you say was the hardest puncher you ever faced in a pro ring?
I told you already.
Yeah, I think you already answered.
Joe McClellan by far. There was no one. There was like a big gap between him and Eubank and everybody else.
Yeah.
There's just a big gap. There's like a big gap between them. He was completely different. He was in a league of his own.
Yeah.
Then Eubanks came. And even some other. I've actually been stung a couple of times by people that weren't even like good fighters, but I still got stung by him.
Mm-hmm.
But Eubanks, I felt Eubanks' power.
Yeah. And was there anyone that you wish you'd have had the chance to fight, but never ended up fighting? I'm excited to hear you answer this one, because obviously there's...
I think I would have loved to have fought James Toney. Which I actually watched James Toney. He was actually a very classy fighter. Very good fighter. But I would have loved to have fought James Toney and Roy Jones.
Yeah.
But I think Roy Jones would have been a hell of a fight. I would have to sting him early. I would have to get in there early. I would have to just put it on him. Because I know he goes if you put it on him. But it would have been hard because he had power. He had a lot of power. But I would still have a go.
No, both of those fights are mouth-watering. Oh boy, it would have been beautiful.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you this as well, and this is again a question I ask to everyone when we do these types of interviews. If you could go back and change anything, have you got any regrets at all of anything you did in your boxing career? I love it when people say, no, I've got none, but I don't know what you're going to say.
Well, no, the other thing that I regret doing, but it's not to do with boxing.
Yeah. You can talk about that if you want.
It's... pardon?
You can talk about that if you want.
Yeah, well, the only thing is I just wish I was faithful to my wife. That's the only thing I would want to change.
Yeah.
That's the only thing in my life that I was faithful to my wife, like my dad was to my mum. To be able to know that I was a faithful husband. That's the only thing. Everything else, you deal with everything else, but that's the only thing I was saying, like, what? So that my son understand that I was faithful to, and my kids understand that I was faithful to their mum. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. My career was, like I said, Joey, it was. I was happy to just be like a Southern area champion, mate. My three-bedroom terrace house, my little BMW 320. Yeah. That's it. That was it. So we are now sitting in this six-bedroom mansion, 5 bathrooms, theatre room, swimming pool, 2 acres of land in Sydney. Oh my gosh, half paid for cash. Oh my gosh. And I'm sitting here, I ain't got to work. And I ain't been working since November the 9th, 96 when I retired. And I'm just sitting there just enjoying life. I'm living a life. Not an extravagant life, just a nice Christian-based life. And it's absolutely beautiful. Not chasing nothing. Driving around in my Toyota CHR, but I'm happy. I ain't got to drive around in my Bentley, my Ferrari or whatever. I'm just happy in my skin. Before, it was always about what materialistic stuff that I had. I love having a lovely home because my home is my castle and that's it. But besides that, my wife gives me pocket money every month. But I'm happy with that. I'm happy with her running my affair, because if it wasn't for her, I'd be skint.
Yeah.
I'd be skint. You know what I mean? But with her, I can live a good life because of what she's done, investing the money in. So I'm okay. I don't need nothing. I just want to continue to do the job that God's called me to do, to help these broken men. Wow, what more? And I'm living the dream. Watching my kids, my son Connor excel now, and in carrying on the Ben name, and knowing that he's doing a great job, doing an absolute great job. I mean, they said this guy was going to be a test. What test? What are you talking about? And he's only just started. He's still wet behind the ears. 20 amateur fights, and yet look where he is. He goes destroy the guy who was the IBO champion, just been in with a 2-time world champion, and Connor destroyed him. So, So Connor's in good hands, and so now I just watch I pass the baton to Connor, and he's running with it, mate. Don't need no help from me. I just sit at home and enjoy it.
And I asked you earlier on if you're a happy man. You know, we touched on that. You're a happy man. You touched on again. You train twice a day. Obviously, you've been out there now in Australia for a long time. What else do you kind of get up to on a day-to-day basis aside from training, Nigel? What keeps you busy?
Talking to men. That really is. That's really, because we're going through this COVID period now. What I do, I speak with men that are struggling with all kind of issues, really, Jerry. That's some men with anxiety, some men with a drug addiction, some men with certain other issues in their life that they're struggling with. And I think because I've been through a lot of these, I believe God's given me the blueprint to help these men, help these Christian men that are going through stuff, because I can't help a man who's got a worldly outlook on life because he don't understand the same things that I understand. So it's not just like anybody I talk to, because if I start talking about Jesus, somebody, who's Jesus? What are you talking about? Don't understand. Okay, bye. So it's really hard. It only has to be it's really like Christian based. If a man wants to really have a change in life, who really wants to change in life like I did, he'll accept anything that I offer him, to tell you the truth. And at this present moment, it seems to be working well. And I try and meet them once a week or once every 2 weeks. It all depends. We just sit down there. We'll either read the Word of God or we just pray and ask him how his day's been. What's your struggle? What's the problem? And then we talk with this stuff, that we break it down and everything like that. And that's where I get my enjoyment. And then I come home. Well, no, tell a lie. I do my bike ride first. Then I come home, pick the kids up from school, and then I go and do my weight training. Mm-hmm. So it's all formatted. Everything's all formatted.
Yeah, good. It's brilliant to hear that. It sounds.
But
really
am I happy now? I am happy. Yeah. I have peace. That's the most important thing, Joey. I have peace in my life, buddy.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, man. You deserve it. You certainly deserve it. And just
Thank
finally,
you,
Nigel, if you've got any closing words just to our listeners before we let you go. Obviously, it's been tremendous having you on for this amount of time, and it's been a pleasure.
I just say thank you for the people that listen and they support me. I just want to thank them for what they've done, support me all through my career. And I think now I just pray that you pick up the mantle and follow my son in giving the same encouragement that you lot gave me. So thank you all, the British public and people around the world that have been following me, following my career now. Take out that mantle and follow my son and watch him grow like you watch me grow in my career.
Yeah, well said. And listen, Nigel, it's been nothing short of a dream come true doing this interview with you.
That's brilliant, Joey.
Thank you so much.
Me speak. You let me speak, and that was nice. Sorry if I went on a bit, but that's just the way I am.
Thanks so much for walking down memory lane with me and being so generous with your time. God bless you, and I hope we can speak again in the future.
God bless you, Joey. Take care, mate.
Well, there we have it. This wraps up our Christmas special boxing podcast, also known as episode 271. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A huge thank you to our special guest this week, the former two-weight world champion, Mr. Nigel Benn. What a complete living legend he is. That's definitely one of my best interviews ever. Wow, oh wow. But that's about everything from myself. I want to thank you all for listening to this week's podcast. I hope you've all enjoyed it. A lot of other boxing podcasts of course have stopped during this period, but we carry on going, and I cannot think of a better guest to give you for Christmas in the year of 2020 other than a British boxing legend. It's been a tough year for everyone, of course. This has been our gift to you. Remember to send in your lists as soon as possible to ensure that they're read out on next week's podcast. Remember to tell a friend about the podcast. Take good care, people, and we wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas.